Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, we are on episode 11, and today's episode is actually a very special episode. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Amanda, you said something last week about Alice in Borderland, which I did, and I do plan on still reviewing that. It's just, well, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have the time this week to sit down and watch 2 seasons of a show that I really enjoy, even though I want to, but I've been literally head first into my 2022 recap video, which I'm almost done with. It should be up by the end of the night, if not early in the morning tomorrow. But once that gets done, I'll be able to be a little bit more tight on my schedule and get everything a little bit more planned out. A lot better than I have been, but again, it's the first week of the year. Well, to me, it's like the first week of the year. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. Like I said, we are on episode 11, and today's double feature. Yes, you heard that right. Today is a double feature. Now, it took me a minute to figure out exactly what I want to watch, since I didn't have time to sit down and watch 2 seasons of one of my favorite shows. I decided to watch 2 short movies. They were short to a degree. They're only an hour and a half apiece. But 2 short movies back to back, which I had time for. I watched it twice, and I've seen it many more times. But our double feature for today is Grave Encounters 1 and 2. Now, for a lot of y'all probably do know the name or recognize the movie. It was a little movie that came out in 2011. I'm not necessarily saying it came out at a bad time, but it didn't get as much publicity as it should have, to be perfectly honest. I'm assuming because around the time it came out, this is right around when we're like exhausted from all the found footage movies, because that's basically the whole point of Grave Encounters 1 and 2. They're found footage movies, found footage horror movies, which especially in 2011 we were tired of, because we had several movies, I know, between 2009 and 2011 that were the found footage of all the found footage. But for some reason, this movie in particular just didn't get as much love, didn't get much support, or for some reason this movie just didn't get what it needed to really boom out. So it became like an underground feature. And then luckily though, it got enough of a following, enough of a liking, that in 2012, but basically about a year later, they made Grave Encounters 2, which has a very similar aspect, but very meta. Like, sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it is like storming outside like a son of a bitch. Like, there is thunderbolt, as the old saying goes, thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. So if anything happens, say, I get cut off mid-sentence, string gets shut down at any point, it's just the bad weather, guys. But we're going to try to fight through it. Hopefully the storm doesn't get too bad and it just passes straight over us. But like I said, Grave Encounters 2 came out in 2012, and it got very meta. Now, I am going to say this about these movies. You can watch the first movie as its own standalone movie and still enjoy it for what it is, of course, a normal, cheap not really cheap, but a knockoff, you know, like, oh, what's that show I fucking love? Ghost Adventures. Like a knockoff Ghost Adventures. You know, instead of Zach Baggins, we got Lance Preston. Alright, so he's actually called Sean Rogers, which I'll get all into that, but you can watch the first movie as his own standalone feature. Now, you can't do that necessarily about the second movie. Like, you can, but there's gonna be bits and pieces that just doesn't make any sense to you at all, because you're gonna have to watch the first movie to at least somewhat get the premise and understand what's going on in the second movie. But if you watch both the movies back to back, it tells a very good overarching narrative that I thoroughly enjoy. It's one of my favorite cheesy movies to throw on in the background. Is it chock full of scares? No, not really. It's got a couple of good jump scares. A lot of it's more atmospheric and tension building. Of course, a lot of shit you can probably see like a mile away coming. But I'm always a firm believer that, yeah, you could tell the same cliche, tired story that we've all seen. A group of ghost hunters go into an asylum, get locked in, they can't escape. We've all seen tons of movies like that. We've all seen, hell, tons of horror movies like that, to be perfectly honest. But I'm always a firm believer that if done correctly, no story is a boring story. Even if it's just a basic, simple premise, if told correctly, it could be a really good movie. And I have to say, Grave Encounters, even though it's a basic, simple premise that we've seen multiples and countless times, it still is a very entertaining ride. And that's the whole point of movies. You know, now, unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of movies, for some reason, want to have some kind of agenda, some kind of viewpoint, woke thing, you know, just something stupid to shove down our throat to remind us, yeah, you're watching a movie, but here's a valuable lesson. Which some movies, yeah, they're good at teaching lessons. Like, you definitely need to watch some movies to learn certain values of life and, you know, bullshit like that. But a lot of people who go see movies, especially horror movies, we're there to suspend our disbelief. Like, we're there to have a good time and get scared and walk away. Now, if you don't hit that either get scared or entertainment value, your horror movie's gonna suck. Which is where a lot of found footage horror movies kind of suck at. Like, there was one, I want to say directly after Grave Encounters I watched, called, like, not the Paranormal Activity, not the 2009 Paranormal Activity, but it was called, like, it was like a knockoff version of Paranormal Activity, and the heart was there, but it was just a very shitty movie because the acting was terrible, the fucking directions were terrible, and just like none of it made sense. Even though it was the same cliche bullshit we saw in Paranormal Activity, because it's literally like a fucking rip of Paranormal Activity, it still just didn't entertain me as much as Paranormal Activity actually did. I hate to say it, but as stupid as that franchise got, the first one still is a good standalone horror movie to me that I still will sit down and watch because it's just fun. It's just a fun horror movie. And maybe one of these days I'll talk about the franchise. I don't know necessarily if I want to talk about all the franchise because of the fact that it gets weird. Like, it gets very, like, I tried my best to piece together everything about this franchise to make it whole and shit, and I somewhat got it. I think I somewhat get it. It's just really, really hard to explain because there's like time traveling and fucking paradox portals or some bullshit and fucking witch cold. It gets really crazy. It gets really out there. Now, don't get me wrong though. Grave Encounters, it goes out there, but it doesn't get that fucking crazy. But let's dive into a little fun little information before we dive straight into these movies. Ah, shit, give me my pen. Okay, so like I said, Grave Encounters was made in 2011 and the second one in 2012. They're Canadian horror flicks made by the Vicious Brothers, named Colin and Stewart. Fun fact, in the second movie, it gets very meta. I'm not gonna lie, the second movie gets very, very meta, so things will get kind of confusing. So you know what, I might just hold that information off till I get to the second movie. But basically, I was looking to the Vicious Brothers. They've only made about 7 movies total two of them being Grave Encounters in this one, and one of them they're working on now. So there's not really much information about the Vicious Brothers, but a lot of the actors, funny enough, did a lot of TV shows and shit. But there's quite a few of them I actually recognize from other shit. Let's see, there was Mackenzie Gray, who plays Houston Gray, funny enough. He played in the movie Shooter. He actually played Dave Simmons. I don't know if a lot of people saw that movie, but that was actually a really good movie. It took me a minute to recognize him, though, from Shooter. It really did. The guy who plays Matt White, it's spelled J-U-A-N, but I feel like I'm about to pronounce it hella wrong. Like, hella wrong. But Juan Ryder? I'm assuming the J is supposed to be like Juan. Yeah. I'm not sure. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I am so sorry, sir. But a lot of y'all actually should know him. Like, so I'm probably about to get chastised, especially by you Riverdale fans. He plays Dodger in Riverdale. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I myself have never seen the show. I kind of want to, but then I kind of don't because of, well, I don't know what I don't know anything about the show. Like, I've tried to look into information about the show, and none of it makes sense to me. Like, none of it makes sense. So I'm just like, do I risk it and take the dive to learn more about this show, or do I just, carry on with life? But if you don't know him from Riverdale, he's also in Jennifer's Body as Ditch. I think y'all remember that character. Let's see, who else do we know? Sean McDonald, who played Morgan Turner. A lot of people should know him from the Scooby-Doo TV movie, the Mystery Begins one. When did that one come out? Like mid-2000s, I want to say. He played the principal. Deedley? He played that principal, which I thought was funny. Now, the more famous actors from this movie, from the movie franchise, I should say, would actually be Richard Harmon, who plays Alex White in the second movie. Not only is he the vampire kid from Trick or Treat, and he was the smart-ass kid in Percy Jackson, but he's also John Murphy in The 100, and he was Richard in Bates Motel. So if that says anything about this character, or about this actor, hopefully it helps, because I've only seen a handful of episodes of The 100, so I really don't know, but I knew him from Bates Motel, because I actually loved that show. That was a really good show, and I might actually do that one of these days, because that was a really good show. I'm a big fan of Psycho, so the Bates Motel would fit in pretty well. Dylan Playfair, who did Trevor Thompson, he's done a lot of Disney shit, which I was very surprised about, but a lot of these other actors, though, skimming through their projects, I either don't recognize it, or they've done a lot of, like, TV episodes, like, one-off episodes and shit. So, I mean, it's got a good, talented cast, big fucking cast, I'm not gonna lie, especially between the two movies. But, God, I'm trying to figure out the way to do this, because, like I said, it gets very meta. So I don't want to confuse everybody. So I'm going to be honest. We're just going to call all the actors like Sean Rogers and Ash and them their actual character names, which is like Lance Preston, Shaw, TC, and all that. Because they do in Grave Encounters 2 make mention of their actual names. They actually call Lance Sean, I think, majority of the movie, which gets very, very confusing. But yeah, no, this is just a fun little indie found footage horror film. It's got a good cast to it. Funny enough, the hospital, though, that is basically where the entire movie takes place, just about, in both franchises, is called, and the movie they call it Collinwood. Well, Collinwood's not real, but the actual hospital is called Riverview, which again, we'll learn a little bit more about that in the second movie, because they actually call it Riverview. Actually, they don't even call it Riverview, they bleep it out, because that's how meta they're getting. But Riverview is actually a spot in Canada that has had a lot of TV shows and movies filmed at this location. You got The Watchmen, The X-Files, Supernatural, Riverdale, again, there's Riverdale, The Butterfly Effect, Final Destination 2, And Deadpool. Ah, shit. Oh, hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second, guys. I'm having a bit of a technical difficulty on my end. There we go. Okay. Sorry, something happened to my chat. I don't know exactly what happened, but it like froze up on me and shit. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about Riverview. But yeah, it see, there was Watchmen, Supernatural, X-Files, Riverdale, Final Destination 2. But the most iconic movie is actually Deadpool 2. Majority of the final fight sequence, and I want to say the first fight sequence in the movie, they were all filmed there at Riverview. So yeah, the building itself is actually extremely iconic, which I find funny. But I love learning little fun facts about some of the buildings where they do a lot of horror filming at. Because that set design, that's where it's all at. Now I can say in the movie, they do a good job making an extremely atmosphere by making you feel isolated, alone, trapped in this goddamn hospital because there's bars all over this window. There's no way out. This shit is like a fucking maze. But we're gonna dive a little bit more into it. So let's start by talking about the first movie, and then hopefully the meta-ness doesn't confuse you too much, because it confuses the shit out of me if I overthink it too much, to be perfectly honest. But the first movie, it starts off with Jerry, who's played by Ben Wilkinson, who's Jerry Hartfield, the producer of Grave Encounters. And this opening is very meta in some aspects because of the fact that, you know, he's talking about, oh, I found Lance Preston when he sent me the show. He was really ahead of his time, blah, 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 all this bullshit. And everything was going great, you know, everything went well until episode 6. And then that's when we kind of jump into the movie where he goes, listen guys, listen, I will make something 100% clear. Everything you're about to see in this movie is true, 100%. None of it has been doctored, edited, or anything. It is true. Believe everything you see on the screen. And then it cuts to them filming Grave Encounters. Which, I actually like that because, not the whole fact that he's trying to make you believe that, you know, it's real. They did the same bullshit when it came to, like, you know, Paranormal Activity, the Blair Witch Project. And for someone who was around for Blair Witch, who can remember how crazy the publicity of real found footage was, I can see why they were trying to really tag that on, because there's actually arguments, even till this day, of people arguing whether or not Grave Encounters 1 and 2 are real. And I'm just like, guys, first of all, it's not real, okay? So I'm just going to say it. Even though it gets very meta in the second movie, and yet again, I'll explain a little bit more, but it's not real. It's not real. But I like the aspect that it shows us them filming. I like seeing, you know, these ghost hunting shows, especially when it comes to movies talking about ghost hunting, about how they fucking kind of set some of this shit up. You know, you got you know, the basic intro of them getting everything set up, and of course they talk let's see, about, you know, Dr. Friedkin, I'm gonna call him Freakin'. Fuck me, man. Just fuck me. But they talk about, you know, the hospital, about why it was built, and this is all coming from, oh, what's this actor's name? Sean McDonough, who plays Morgan. Morgan proceeds to tell them about the Riverview Hospital and about Dr. Freakin's kind of dabble in occult business. He was really well known for a lot of lobotomies and some bullshit like that. He basically got into a lot of trouble, especially against his patients, and they broke out and killed him. Unfortunately, it was all overshadowed by the death of Babe Ruth, according to Morgan. Which, that's gotta suck. You fucking die, and no one gives a shit because Babe Ruth died. Like, hell, if I was a ghost, I'd be very angry too. You know, just like, motherfucker. Like, he's just a baseball player. I am a doctor of science. A crazy doctor nonetheless, but a doctor of science. He should have at least got like a little like last page memo or something, you know. Nope, just thrown all out the window. But you know, once you learn a little bit more about the hospital and shit, they proceed to you know, talk about his occultness and you know, how he dabbled and shit. And the way he dabbled, I'm assuming it is with the lobotomies. I'm not quite sure how his occult world works. They never dive too much into his occult world. They just kind of gloss over, say, well, he was in the occult. You know, he liked to sacrifice babies and do lobotomies. I don't know how that really affected the hospital, but apparently something he did affected the hospital, and I'll get more into that later. But you know, after they get done having the conversation with Morgan, they, you know, jumping around, talking to the other people. I think they talked to Kenny, who's what is his title? The caretaker or something? You know, yeah, I'm gonna call him a caretaker. He's some kind of caretaker or something. He watches the buildings and keeps an eye out on the property. Oh shit! Sorry, had a burp. So they proceed to go inside the building, take a better look around, and of course we get the iconic, you know, they walk up to the door, and you see Tetha Waits scrawled and fucking, I'm assuming, green spray paint, just being creepy as hell, and of course they're mocking it. They're like, oh, this is cheesy, this is cheap. You know, fucking Lance has got it though, just, hey man, anything can be creepy. Slow-mo, creepy music behind it, we got this. It's like, this is why he's in charge, to a degree. But they proceed to go around, and Kenny talks about some of the experience he had, and you can kind of feel the rawness to this footage, because Kenny has no clue what the hell he's doing. Like, Kenny even interrupts them at one point. Kenny goes, I never done this before. Should I look at you? Do I look at the camera? Like, who do I look at here? But he proceeds to talk about some of the creepier shit, such as the window opening on the top floor, the fucking woman in the bathtub who killed herself. Then you have, let's see, the tunnels, which are creepy. The fucking crazy person who was in a room for, like, majority of his life, writing on the fucking walls. So he proceeds to tell them all about the ghosts and shit. And they do their typical, you know, ghost cliche, ghost hunting cliche, where they go, this is a spot that we need to investigate. Get the X, man. Get the X. And then get the fucking duct tape and it's literally like, I shit you not, like watching a full version of Ghost Adventures without Zach Baggins. And that, I really feel like, though, Sean was portraying Zach Baggins the best he could. I really wish I could get an interview and ask him that question. Just, were you emulating Zach Baggins at any point of the show? Does he really does. This feels like Ghost Adventures, and I love that. And I get it, you know, there's always that argument about how, you know, fake the ghost hunting shows are and shit, but I like them. I like my little ghost shows. I don't like ghost hunters though, so don't get me wrong. I do have standards when it comes to my ghost shows. But I do like my little ghost shows. I like my, you know, Ghost Adventures, you know, A Haunting, you know, My Paranormal Experience. I always have a good time watching them. They're good background noises, you know, because most of the time, there's a relatively good pattern when it comes to the episodes. So you kind of get a gist of what each episode is going to be, or what they're going to be talking about in each episode. But, you know, after they get done going through all the, you know, the best areas to do their investigation at. Oh, shit. Dropped my coaster. But after they get done doing that, they end up going back outside to talk to the gardener. Now, this is how the real fakeness... Okay, let me rephrase this. This is where the real fakeness begins to show in some aspects. They go to the gardener, And of course, the gardener, he's trying to do his fucking job. And they go, have you ever experienced anything out of the ordinary? You know, anything, crazy? And he's just like, no. I just started working here. And Lance stops him and goes, hey man, how does $20 sound? And then they start the interview over again. They go, all right, this has been the gardener for 10 plus years. What have you seen? Yes, I saw a ghost right over there. It was very scary. And then Lance is just milking the shit out of this. Just, oh my God, an actual apparition seen outside the hospital. Amazing. But once they, get done with that little introduction, we then proceed to get introduced to Houston Gray, who is our psychic medium. Air quotes around that, because the dude's just an actor. He even makes mention of that later on in the movie about how he has an audition and shit. But, he comes in. We get this really great moment where you feel like he could be a really good medium. But he's just a really, really good actor. He comes in and he's like, oh, Lance, I'm sensing dark presence here. This could be the work of a demon. We need to be very, very careful. And then, of course, they go into the room where the woman, killed herself. And he's just like, oh, my God, blood filling with what? And the tub, just overwhelming sadness. Oh, God. And then Lance is like, this is where Kenny said that girl died. And her spirit is still here. And then they fucking cut that shit and they all bust out laughing. I love that scene because it just shows you just how fake some of these reality shows are. Like, it really does. Like, in ghost hunting shows, or I'm not going to deny it, some ghost hunting shows are fucking fake. I would still hold out on Ghost Adventures, though. I still, in some aspects, somewhat tiny bit believe that it's real, because I've heard some stories about how Zach really didn't help out the situation, how he just pissed the demon off more. But he always made a comment about how he was never an exorcist. And he probably is not qualified to do an exorcist. But somehow they always get him to do one. But I digress. But I just like that scene because it just shows you how they can quickly go from acting as Lance Preston, Houston Gray, to, well, let's act like Ash, let's act like Sean. And it's just really cool to see kind of, behind the scenes of, what goes behind the scenes of ghost hunting shows, basically. Then we get to literally like the next night, or not the next night, but later on that night, or evening, when they're getting everything set up. And they do the typical, paranormal ghost show, where it's like, we got all our cameras set up, this is what this device does, this is what this device does, this is why it does this. Do the whole typical cliche thing of just explaining what each individual piece does and where they're going. And of course, we see them go through the hospital, just try to communicate with whoever, get the little tape out. They even taking photos, spirit photography. Which, that is a real thing, by the way, guys. Spirit photography is a real thing. But, and nothing's happening, by the way. Like, nothing's happening. And it's really disappointing because they actually have a conversation, Sash and Lance, before they go into the hospital. I think after they had the conversation with the gardener about how she's super excited about episode 6, and they make a mention, hey man, do you think we'll see some actual ghosts this time? And he's like, oh yeah, tons of them, we'll see them. And, she's like, well, why don't you be a little bit more positive? I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as we, get the numbers, who cares? And it's one of those, you can tell the team really, really, really wants to see this shit. They really want to prove ghosts exist, but they haven't seen jack shit yet, so they're very, non-believers at this point. Which, I actually like that in a lot of, ghost hunting movie kind of type things like this, where it's just like, you have the people who are not believer in ghost hunters, but they know where the money's at. It's like YouTube back in the day with the whole 3 a.m. challenges. Like, we all know that shit was bullshit. Well, some of it. There's some of it I did look into that was not bullshit, and I do not recommend you actually trying, period. Mainly the Midnight Man game. Don't do it. Don't do it. That was an actual thing. Like, seriously, if you don't know what it is, look it up. It's an actual thing. Like, it was like apparently a punishment of some sort. I can't remember by who, but yeah, don't do that. But, you know, a lot of the other shit, like, oh, my doll is moving at 3 a.m., you know, that bullshit, it's all fake. We know it. They know it. It's good content for 3 a.m. It really is. That's the whole point of where Sean's at, or Lance, I should say. Lance Preston's at, where he just wants to get good footage. Because he does not believe that he's going to find an actual ghost. But I have to say, nothing really happens once they get everything set up, you know, and, you know, they go through the tunnels, they go through the bathtub, and they're trying to talk to everybody, and nothing really happens for a good, I'm gonna be honest, 30, not even 30 minutes, about 20, 25 minutes, could be about 30 minutes, but we get to a point where, you know, we're with TC, and he's walking around the hospital, you know, just making jokes and shit, and, you know, like, King Me walks to, cause he sees a fucking, like a checkerboard floor almost, and he's like, King Me, and he walks to a kitchen, and he goes, oh, man, look at this place, I said, cook my dinner, bitch, you know, he's just goofing off, and at one point, he walks to a bathroom, and the door just slams on him and startles the fuck out of him, and of course he gets all the groups in, they're talking, and, you know, and they're trying to argue about whether it's a draft or it was a win, if it's just TC fucking with them, and he's like, well, I got it all on camera, well, why didn't you start with that? So of course they see it, and they have to put it in the show, so they're like trying to reenactment, just like, this door was just slammed and TC recorded it all, so we're gonna see if we can't get the ghost to do it, so I say, slam it, ghost. And then nothing happens. And of course, you know, Lance gets a little butthurt about this shit. And then they hear something in another room. So they go to investigate it. And it's one of the beds just turns, you know, kind of sideways with little wheels spinning and shit. And they start, you know, going, oh my fucking God, are you serious? You know, someone fucking with us. So they go upstairs to go see if they can't find somebody. And of course, you know, nobody's there. So they start really thinking, this could be something real. This could be. This very much could be. And eventually, Sauce grabs the tape recorder and starts asking questions and stuff. Hey, AJ, welcome to the podcast. But it starts asking questions and stuff, and as she's, you know, asking these questions, they tell her to go back and, you know, listen to it. So as they're listening, they start hearing this weird, you know, like high-pitched, like whine coming in, and then Sasha's hair gets manipulated and gets like kind of like pulled up in some aspects, and it freaks her out, freaks TC out, freaks Houston, it just freaks everybody out, and they run down the stairs, and Sasha's crying, and fucking Lance is trying to keep everybody together, and they're like, just be a fucking professional, man, just be professional. And he looks at TC, he goes, you and me, man, we're going back in there. And TC's just like, oh hell no, I'm not letting that thing manipulate my hair. And fucking Lance is just like, what hair do you have? Let's go. And he gets Houston to come up there. What would I rate this movie? Oh, I would really rate this movie at a high 8, but it's a very entertaining movie. I say it once, I say it again. To me, this first movie, Grave Encounters 1, is a very high 8 for me because it's so much fun, and the acting is good, the atmosphere is good. It's just a really fun movie. That's really the whole premise of watching a good horror movie. Is just have fun, and that's something you could take away when it comes to this movie. But I digress. But, you know, once they go back upstairs to go to talk to the ghost, fucking Lance is, you know, he's got the camera, and he's just like, manipulate my hair or something, and then Houston, of course, this poor man, he is so, like, freaked out that he's just standing there just, and fucking Lance has to hit him on the arm, like, hey man, you know, be a fucking professional here, and he's just like, spirits, if you are here with us, please communicate. And fucking Lance he's just tired of this shit. And eventually they get what they came. They kind of get what they came for, and Houston try to let them know, hey man, you know, it came around, it fucked with us. Maybe it's done. Let's just pack our shit up. It's getting close to us to leave. Let's just fucking go. And you know, Lance, of course, begrudgingly just goes, yeah, fine, whatever. And he starts taking, you know, the spirit photography again. But this time, when he starts taking the pictures, shit starts coming through the pictures. At one point, I think you see an apparition walking through a doorway. You see several ghost orbs and another picture. And then the creepiest one is the one where TC is in front of this, like, window. And in the window, you see what looks like a figure kind of like trying to like slide through the window or some bullshit. Like, it's fucking creepy. I give them props on that. The effects they did for the spirit photography in this movie, top notch, man, top notch. Oh shit! No, not again, Coaster, not again. But once they get downstairs, oh hang on, I gotta flip to my next page. But once they get downstairs, they start trying to pack up everything. Of course, Matt, you know, he looks over the footage and he's just like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. Fucking Sasha's still in shock. She's like in a chair, just sitting there like, that thing touched me. And I'm kind of with her on that. Like, seriously, if I had a fucking ghost like fuck with my hair, oh, those are fighting words right there. You don't fuck with my hair, man. And it's not the fact that you're fucking with my hair, it's just you don't touch my head, period. Like, you even get near my head, those are fighting words right there. Those are just fighting words. And unfortunately, I cannot win against a ghost. So, you know, unfortunately, I'm kind of with her. You know, I can't fight the ghost. If the ghost fucks with me, I'm going to go take a punch at it. No, I can't do that. You know, it's a ghost. It's not there. But as they're, you know, slowly trying to pack everything up, Matt goes upstairs to get the last of the cameras. And he hears something. Now, I will say this about this one movie. There's one effect in this movie. It's cliche as fuck. This one effect is cliche as fuck. You see this in every found horror movie footage. Okay, hang on. You find it in every found footage horror movie. Seriously, guys. Try to say that 5 times fast. It's very hard. And it's the glitchy effect. It's that little, like, pixelated, glitchy, you know, audio cutout effect. And that happens a lot throughout this movie. Not like, they don't drown you in it, but they do fucking, you know, sprinkle it on here and there when necessary. And it's not too bad. I actually like it in this movie. It actually fits in well with the amount of time they gotta run and shit. But yeah, so it's got that stupid little glitchy effect. But, you know, Matt, you know, here's something coming from the other hallway. So we get the little glitchy effect, and Matt just disappears and once he goes to the doorway. And Lance at one point... Yes. This is basically the Hell House movies. This is another found footage horror movie, which I will be talking about the Hell House franchise at some point too. It's on my list to do because I really love those 3 movies. Those 3 movies are really, really good. But once they start trying to pack everything up, they realize Matt hasn't come back yet. So they're like, oh shit, we'll gotta go find Matt. Well, while they're exploring, trying to go find Matt, they see all his shit just sprawled the fuck out. They can't find this man. Poor TC. I feel so sorry for this man. This man got physically abused so much. Him and Sash. Them two. Like, Lance, he got the shit end of the stick at the end of this movie. And even worse in the second movie. But at the, you know, TC and Sash, they got fucked up. But, because TC at one point, he's just walking. He's like, man, you know, come on, man, where the fuck are you? And he goes up these stairs. And this motherfucking ghost just pushes his ass. And he goes tumbling down the stairs. And he's in agonizing pain. But I don't blame him. He got pushed by a fucking malevolent demon. Or an asshole ghost. One of the two. But the point is, he got pushed. And it's, poor dude. Pissed as fuck. At this point, they start arguing. They can't find Matt, and they can't leave. I forgot to mention this, but they're in a classic ghost hunting TV show. They're in a lockdown, and Kenny has literally locked him with a chain outside. So they can't leave this fucking building even if they wanted to. They even made a comment about that when they first started filming. Just, oh, we couldn't leave even if we wanted to, so we're stuck in here. Bad choice. But I feel like it didn't really matter. And again, I'll explain that more in the second movie. But because they can't leave, TC's pissed the fuck off because he's been pushed. It's late. At this point, it's been, I think it's like 7-something. Kenny's no show. So they're like freaking the fuck out. And they decide they gotta get the hell up out of here. So TC grabs a little bed and he proceeds to bust open the door, and they're ramming it. Fucking Lance is like, don't break anything, it's gonna come out your paycheck. And TC's like, does it look like I give a fuck, man? Does it look like I give a fuck? Just help me get this damn door open. And of course, when you know, as soon as they open up that fucking door, it's just a goddamn hallway. An everlasting hallway. And you know, of course, your mind's fucking blown. You're like, how the hell did we get turned around or some bullshit? Like, what the fuck? And then Asajj, and the most scared tone ever, just goes, Lance, and you turn around, and she's closing the doors, and on the front of the doors, it's death awaits. It's the same fucking front doors. It's the same doors. We're just not leading outside. So they're panicking and freaking out. This is where the real panic really sets in. So they try to see if they can't find an emergency exit or something. They, you know, of course, follow the sign. They get to that emergency exit door, kick it open, boom, it's just another fucking hallway. And they're just like, at this point, just really hammering down that they don't understand what the hell is going on. And they eventually get into a fight and ask, okay, what time is it? What time is it? And Asajj tells them, guys, it's like 8:43 in the morning. And that's when like all shit starts breaking loose, because they're like screaming, they're like, Lance, you know, I had an audition to do and nobody cares, and blah blah blah. And Lance shuts them all up and goes, guys, wait a minute, we got a problem. Alright? I looked at the sunrise times. It should have been bright by 7:45, and it's still dark. So that's when the real panic sets in. The fact that it's like almost 9 o'clock in the morning and it's still like 2 a.m. dark. So I'm kind of with them about a little bit of a freak out. So they decide to go, you know, sleep it off, take a nap, you know, try to collect themselves. And in the process of napping, they get woken up by a fallen light because douchebag ghosts had to be douchebag ghosts. And while they're trying to collect themselves, you find out that their food is all rotten at this point. It's now like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still not daytime at any point, and all they have is bottled waters and their cameras. So real panic has been set in at this point. So they try to think of a rational way to get out of the situation. Was this based on the actual true story? No, it was not. It was written by the Vicious brothers and Sean Rogers. It's not a true story. I say it once, I say it again. Don't believe the whole meta thing, especially in the second movie. It's not real. It's not real. Trust me, I've looked into this movie. It's not real. But, shit, I lost my place. Okay, here we go. So, they tried to come up with a plan, and the plan is, alright, so we can't go out this front door, and we can't get these bars off the window because they left their tools outside in the van. They're going to try to go to that top window, you know, through the roof access. They're going to try to go through there because there should be a fire escape up there. So that's the plan. So let's do it. Let's do the plan. So while they're trying to, you know, find just the stairwell itself, they're looking at the map going, all right, we went up this flight of stairs. Did we go up 2 flights of stairs? And they're like on the 4th floor. They've only gone out 1 flight of stairs. So they're confused as fuck. And eventually TC, God bless this man, he finds the hallway that gets him the fuck out of this whole situation. And it's the roof access sign that says roof access this way up these stairs. So he gets excited. He starts running up these stairs. You know, he's pushing fucking Lance out the way. And he gets all the way around that corner. And he's like, yes, yes. And as soon as he rounds that fucking corner, there's no door whatsoever. It's just a brick wall. And this man starts freaking out. Like, I'm talking about crying. And he's just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like slamming his hand on the fucking sign and shit. So now that they realize they can't even escape through the fucking roof access, this building has done literally locked them in, so they gotta come up with another fucking plan. Which, in a hospital where you're being tormented, it's not that easy. So, they try to use their compass to see if they can't even find north, and the fucking compass is just woo, 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 just, they can't even find north, south, east, or west. So, eventually they hear, something, and they think it might be Matt. So they go to investigate, and unfortunately, it's not Matt. It's just a bare empty room, and they're just like, you heard that, right? And then the bed in front of them proceeds to lift up off the ground and get thrown to the wall, and it freaks everybody out. And this is where we get the, I guess, I want to say next 20 minutes of them running, crashing in a room, running and then crashing in a room, running and crash. Like, this happens like 3 or 4 times. I'm not even joking, but it all makes sense. But they go and crash into the room the first time. Well, they realize something. They kind of stuck in there for a minute, so they gotta crash out. And while they're crashing out, they get woken up, and it's Sash, as she is crying. So they go to investigate, and Sash, unfortunately, has hello carved, not just scratched, I'm talking about carved into her fucking back to rib area. It just says hello. And of course, they're freaking the fuck out. Like, how the hell did somebody come in here and do this? Like, what the fuck? Like, how is this even possible? And, you know, once they calm down, they try to get back on the radio again to see if they can't contact Matt. And they hear Matt. They actually get in contact with him. And they're like, Matt, what the fuck are you, man? Like, where are you at? And all Matt can mumble is, I'm cold. Just I'm cold. And then they lose him. And then they start arguing about, you know, the signal of the radio, you know, how far you can go. And they're walking around. And they see a figure run across the hallway. So they're just like, oh shit, that's Matt. And so they run out. And this is where the iconic scene comes in at. So they run in, they're like, Matt, you know, what the fuck you doing, man? You know, come here. And they just see a figure in a white gown in the corner of the room. And they're like, Matt? And as they get a little closer, it's a fucking demonic woman. She turns around, she looks all innocent for like half a millisecond, and then we have the iconic jump scare ghost morphing face thing that was very popular all over Snapchat after a while. But it does that little thing, the scream, the glitchy effects, they run, they're like panicking, fucking Sasha's collapsing, Lance is like picking her up, TC's yelling at them, just like, is this how fast as you guys can run? You know, all this shit. And they get back into another closet, and they sit there, and they're just like, oh my god, where the fuck is Houston? And the chaos, they lost Houston. So, Houston is now walking around this hospital by himself in the dark. And we're only seeing what we can from the cameras they set up. And here's something that I actually found very, very creepy about this scene. Is if you pay attention to some of the doors and shit while Houston's walking, you actually can see a couple of them open and close. Just kind of randomly. And that's more for us. Because you gotta think, Houston's walking around in the dark. He can't see shit. And you actually see that at some point when he's walking next to the camera. He's like, oh my god, you know, where is everything? And he's hearing, you know, giggles and shit. And eventually he gets backed up into the end of a hallway, and something starts choking him out. And he's screaming, you know, oh god, Lance, help, help. And then the fucking ghost just chunks his ass across the hallway, and a flash of light happens, and he dies. Now, here's something else I want to add. The deaths in this movie, they're not that bad. They're not that bad. But the deaths in the second movie get more gruesome. Just keep that in mind. So, once Houston disappears, and they wake up, and Sash and Lance have been having conversations about, you know, what we're gonna do, you know, why he's still filming, and he's just like, people need to know, we get out of this shit, people gotta know, you know, typical reasons of why to keep filming, just people gotta know what the fuck's up with this shit. And throughout the rest of the time in the closet, you know, you kind of get like a sense of fear between everybody. Just the sense of confusion and fear, and really good acting. I'm not gonna lie, because it's not that easy to convey fear in movies. It really isn't, because fear, it's a very natural form of, you know, human nature to have. But you notice fear only comes from, I mean, like legitimate fear. I don't mean like the fake fear, like the fear of roller coasters, the fear of fucking crossing the road when you're not a jaywalk or some bullshit like that. That's adrenaline fear talking to you. I'm talking about deep-seated fear of being known, just being knowing, hang on, for knowing that you're absolutely 100% fucked. That is genuine, real fear, and these actors portrayed it very, very well, because once they wake up again from the closet, they all wake up with fucking patient bands on their arms, and they're freaking out because it's their actual names, not the fake names that they have, you know, because again, Lance Preston is his stage name. But for sake of argument, we're just going to keep calling him Lance Preston because it starts getting very confusing for me. But once they get done, you know, arguing about the patient bands and all this shit, they blame TC. Sasha blames TC. She's like, "You son of a bitch, you fell asleep. Why did you fall asleep?" And he's like, "I didn't mean to. My fucking bad." So while they're arguing, they're walking out, and they're still just confused and lost and scared, like nobody's business. It's been about 3 or 4 days at this point, so they're just like, we gotta figure something out, we gotta do something. And Sash comes up with this like really nice speech for Lance for all of like 5 seconds, until we get abruptly cut from her amazing speech about how we need to get the fuck out of here by a fucking arm busting through one of the door windows and choking her out. So they panic yet again with the glitchy effect and all, and they run the fuck off. And as they're running the fuck off, they finally find Matt. After catching their breath, they actually see Matt. They don't just see a figure run, they see Matt actually run across the hallway, and they go investigate, and Matt is fucked up. And I don't mean like he's beating the shit out. Like, this man looks like he just walked out of an asylum. He's in his little patient gown. He's tweaking out. He's shaking. He's fucking like, sorry, I suffer from this, you know. It's like, the dude is fucked up, is basically all I'm trying to say. He's really fucked up. I don't know what the hell they did to him. They even asked him, like, "Hey man, what did they do to you?" And he can't even answer that, because he's just like, "I'm just responding to treatment, and it's just, I'll be okay." And it's just like, dude, like, you not okay, man. Like, you not okay. It'd be okay though, but you not okay. And once they get Matt, they grab Matt and they bring him to another room, and then that's when they crash yet again. And they're all in shock about finding Matt, how crazy he's acting. He's only been gone for like I said 3 days, and they still can't get out. It's still nighttime after 3 days, so I get the tiredness and the confusionness, but they're not getting any kind of information from Matt at all. So they go and lay down and they try to get some sleep, but then unfortunately are waking up by a bunch of hands this time coming through the ceiling trying to grab them. Poor Sasha's having a fucking PTSD flashback from the door situation, and they end up running the fuck out and running straight into the bathtub area where the woman killed herself. And while they're in there, trying to calm down and shit, they hear dripping water. So, of course, Lance, out of curiosity, looks over the tub, and there's the fucking tub just filled with blood. Just filled with blood. And they're just like, "Oh, shit, man, we in the wrong room. We gotta get the fuck out." And as they get up to go out, fucking Matt's standing next to the damn tub, just laughing his ass off like he just dropped 3 drops of LSD and is staring into the pits of madness. Just... It's just like, dude, you're not okay. So TC tries to get him. And this is actually where a really good jump scare happens. This is actually one of my favorite deaths in the movie. It's really, really good. But as TC's reaching for him, Sash goes, "What the hell is he doing?" And TC turns to her and goes, "I don't know." And as soon as he says, "I don't know," a fucking bitch comes out of the bathtub screaming her head off, grabs TC, pulls him into the tub. Everyone panics. So they go to flip the tub. The fucking blood goes everywhere. And TC's nowhere to be found. TC's just gone. And there's blood all over the camera. And then Sasha's screaming. Everybody's freaking out. And eventually they just grab the camera and they just sit there all in shock. Just like, what's gonna happen to us? And the poor fucking Lance is over here just cleaning the blood off the lens. Just... I did this for you guys. I did this for you guys. So once TC disappears, they decide that, okay, so we can't get to the roof access, we can't go to the front doors, well, let's go through the tunnels underground. Maybe one of them can connect us to another building and we get the fuck out of there then. So they decide, once they get there, that they need someone to open up the elevator doors. So Lance leaves Sash and Matt by the doors to go find someone to open the doors. And this is where we have another iconic scene. So he's walking down the hallway and he gets to a room and he pulls a metal piece basically off a bed. And he hears a little dripping sound. And, you know, he starts looking around. He sees something on the floor in the corner. So he goes to investigate and he turns the night vision off. And the fucking thing on the corner is a tongue. It's a freshly cut out tongue with blood all over it. And then you just see more dripping. You look up and there's the fucking demonic tongue thing just standing there in the corner like fucking Spider-Man hiding from his mother or some bullshit. Just, oh shit. And basically we get the glitchy weird effect, the fucking weird screaming and roar, and fucking Lance takes the fuck off because he don't want to deal with this shit. I wouldn't want to deal with this shit, but he fucking takes the fuck off. They finally get the elevator's door open. Now, this is the part I don't get. They got the elevator door open, right? But Lance, for some weird ass reason, decides to go back to the hallway with the camera, right? I'm assuming this was all just for this one jump scare, which this one actually got me too. I'm not gonna lie. This one actually got me. But again, I found this movie at 3 a.m. And I'll get there when I get there. But the point is, the man goes through the hallway and he's like, oh shit, what button's the night vision? As soon as he hits that fucking night vision, the no-tongue demon comes sprawling at him and he's arguing. Of course, we got more glitchy effects and the camera's going everywhere and the camera slides across and fucking Sash and fucking Lance over there trying to hold the door open, and there's Matt on the other camera, and he just looks at the camera and he proceeds to laugh again and looks down at the elevator shaft, and he just falls head first like a perfect dive, just whoo, hits the ground. And fucking Lance and them turn around and go, where the fuck did Matt go? And they eventually find him at the bottom of the fucking elevator shaft, and they're just like, oh god, Matt, why? Why is an understatement. Why is really the understatement of the day here. And eventually, you know, Lance gets your back. You know, hey Sasha, come on, man. We're so close. We gotta get out of here. You know, it'll be okay. We'll be okay. And as they're walking through the tunnels, they realize it's everlasting. They keep going straight in the one direction, and yet they get nowhere. And it's only supposed to be like a few, like maybe a mile underground or something like that. Cause they're not too far apart, but they're far apart enough that it's a good mile of tunnels they have to go through. So at some point they should have hit the end of the line, as they say in Final Destination, and they never do. So Lance, you know, just kind of confused about the situation, is trying to keep Sasha, you know, still focused on the mission. Let's get the fuck out of here. But unfortunately, Sasha, she's getting sick. And Sasha, she's been coughing up blood, and she's slowing him down, and she's panicking, she freaks out, so they're tired. So they decide that there's just no way out, so we're gonna sit here for a minute. We're just gonna relax. So while they're relaxing and they're sleeping, a fog comes drifting in, surrounds them both, and then just takes Sash. So Lance wakes up alone in these fucking tunnels. That would be my moment of being freaked out, but you know, that's just me. So Lance, in his frustration, proceeds to bring out the recorder and, you know, ask the ghost, you know, why are you doing this? What do you want from me? And he goes back and plays it. And the sickening thing is, it's all the ghosts mocking him. Not just laughing, mocking him. You can actually hear one of the ghosts mocking him, going, help, please help, somebody help us out of here. Like, these ghosts are fucking cruel. And he loses his fucking mind, and he starts, you know, just ranting on about how this is, you know, us as the audience fault, you know, we're the ones that asked for this. He proceeds to beat the shit out of a rat so he can eat it, because it's been days since he's eaten. And he's fucking like screaming, the camera, like he's got the camera in his hand, he's like swaying the shit back and forth, and he's just screaming. And then we just cut. And then get to the next day, fucking Lance is back to somewhat normal. He ain't freaking out like he has been. And he's back to somewhat normal, and he's just like, I found a door, guys. Like, there's a door, there's a fucking door. The wrong door, though. Wrong fucking door. It's Dr. Freakin's fucking area where he has all his little like pictures of him doing his lobotomies and fucking like weird graphs of de-skinned humans and shit. Like, it's really fucking creepy. And Lance walks into a room and he sees Freakin and his crew sitting there doing a little autopsy and shit. And fucking Lance is like, what the fuck? And goes to step the hell out, and he accidentally hits a fucking skeleton that's on the fucking floor. Which, don't ask me why there was a skull on the floor. There was just a skull and bowl on the floor. But because of that, the doctors and the nurses see him, and we get this little weird jump scare. And the doctor's being in front of him that has that weird face. And then we hear Lance screaming, I'm not crazy, let me go, you know, help. And then we cut. And then we come back again to Lance, now on the ground, holding the camera. He's got blood coming out the corner of his eyes. And he says, they say I'm all better now. I can go home. From Grave Encounters, I'm Lance Preston, signing off. And that's where the movie ends. Now, as a standalone movie, this is a really good movie. Like, as a standalone, you know, by itself feature, it is really, really good. And it's really, really fun, and it's enjoyable for everything it is. Ooh. But the second movie really starts tying in, not loose ends, but tying more of a interesting twist to this whole Grave Encounters, basically metaverse in a way. But something I really liked about this movie was how realistic these guys were. Like, there was no, like, hero moment. There was no, like, there's no moment of them actually having hope they're going to get out. They're always fucking, like, just upset, always confused, always angry, and I get it. I would be the same boat, too, if I was in that situation. But one of the more greater moments I kind of glossed over, because it was during one of those parts where they went into a room to crash out for the night, and Sash and Lance are sitting up against the wall, and they're talking, and Lance just looks at her and goes, why don't you try to get some sleep? And she just goes, I don't think I'll ever be able to sleep again. Just as cold as ever. Just no emotions, no nothing, just as cold as ever. Just, I don't think I'll be able to sleep again. And it's just like, that's real. That's raw, real feelings right there. And I like that. And that's something I liked a lot about these characters, especially in this first movie. The second one does a really good job too, but the first one, it feels more natural, more chemistry, because not only are they friends, but they're co-workers as well. But now let's start getting to the really weird meta-ness of this movie. So, with the second movie, one of the biggest things that I will talk about real quick, it's mainly, it happens near the end. But one of the biggest things is there's a number that flashes at the end of the movie. I'm talking about like a quick, like 1 second flash. You have to catch it at a good point. And it's 49, 14, 122, 48. Now, for anybody who's curious about what those numbers are, they're locations. It's longitude and latitude, they're locations. In the movie, these longitude latitude is the location of the hospital in the movie. Fun fact though, where they actually filmed the movie at was 4925 negative 122 and 81. That's where they actually filmed it at. But the hospital is actually there and then the original location. And like I said, Riverview, the actual hospital, had a lot of fucking movies filmed there. I was very disappointed to find out the place was not an actual haunted hospital, but it is an actual fuck, I can never say this word. I always want to say psychological. It's basically an actual hospital for people at the time who had medical disabilities, mental problems and shit like that. You know, it was an actual crazy house, basically. Let me sum that up. An actual crazy house. And it really did get shut down and shit. That part is true. But everything else about it being haunted and shit, not true. It's not true at all. But let's dive into this one. We got I like to call it the meta movie, because it gets really fucking meta. So we have the meta opening. Right off the bat, fucking meta. And it's basically a bunch of vloggers reviewing the Grave Encounters movie. Just talking about whether they liked it, whether they hated it, whether it was good, bad, you know, the CGI, the acting, you know, it's just a bunch of vloggers. And our last vlogger is our main character, Alex, who proceeds to tell them that he really didn't like the movie, thought it was bad, you know, 1 skull out of 5. And you know, he kind of leaves it at that, and then we go into this whole Halloween party that's going on, which is Alex's friend Trevor, you got Jennifer, Tess is there, and Jared's there, and they're all, you know, okay, not Alex, he's in his dorm at this moment, but they're all at this Halloween party, and Jennifer, you can tell she likes Alex, because as soon as Trevor sits down, he's just like, "Hi, Jennifer," and she's like, "Oh, is Alex with you?" "No, he's not here, I don't think." "Oh, man, I was really hoping to see him and shit." Like, you know right off the bat, she's got a fucking huge-ass crush on Alex. But Trevor, being the best wingman ever, goes and gets fucking Alex. And Alex is in his dorm room jerking off. I'm not even lying. He's fucking jerking off. Like, fucking Trevor walks in of him watching porn, and he's over the edge of his computer, and he's just like, "Jesus, Trevor," trying to pull his pants up. Fucking close the laptop because he's embarrassed. And Trevor convinces him to come out. He's like, "Hey, man, there's an actual girl out there wanting to fuck you, man. Let's go." So they dress him up in a fucking woman's outfit. It was apparently some kind of fraternity rush thing they had to do. So they were reusing it for Halloween. So they go to this party, and there's actually a line in this party that I 100% agree with Alex with. Alex is fucking piss drunk. You know, he's got like a whole thing, a bottle of tequila. They even make a joke about that later on. But he's got a whole thing of tequila, and he goes, "Where are they? Where are these master horror writers that there was back in the day? You know, where's our modern Wes Craven? Where's our modern John Carpenters? They're not here. We have to be the new Wes Cravens. We have to be it." And I'm just like, 100% Alex. I agree with you. I ask myself every time I watch a new horror movie, what is it about the old school horror movies I love? And to be honest, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things I love about old school horror movies. And Alex is right. Old school horror movies do not hit like today's horror movies. And that's a sad factor. Like, we don't have a modern Wes Craven. We don't have a modern John Carpenter. We don't have these modern phenomenal horror writers and directors. We just have, well, no offense, guys, Blumhouse. And I'm not saying Blumhouse is bad. Like, don't get me wrong, Blumhouse has done some pretty fire-ass movies, but they've also done a lot of garbage-ass movies, too. Again, we're not going to talk about some of those. Black Christmas? Anyway, yeah, no, I'm sorry, guys. I will never let Black Christmas live down to the day I die. I hate that fucking movie with a roaring passion. But, you know, we don't have these modern horror horror directors and writers anymore that are more in tune with the old school ones. Like, nowadays, it's all about elevator horror. And elevator horror works, and I think I had talked about this last week. Elevator horror works to a degree, but it just depends on how you write it. And a lot of the times, the elevator horror is just, it's over the fucking top. It's just over the top, and it's stupid. And, you know, you got this over-the-top elevator horror thing, but most of the writing, it's just boring dialogue. Like, a lot of the horror movies, they don't even show it anymore. They just talk about it. Like, think about it. In a lot of these horror movies, you see people just sit down, and instead of seeing the ghost or dealing with the ghost or having, you know, this moment with the ghost, they just sit there and talk about it. Like, they're talking about their fucking feelings, you know. Oh my God, Jennifer, like, I'm just saying, I felt this overwhelming emotional feelings that there was a ghost in this house, and it turns out I was right. This house is haunted. Oh my God, Jill. Oh, the ghost, yeah. I'm so sorry. Is there anything we could do to stop this ghost? Oh my God, Jennifer, I just don't know. I just can't. And that's really what it feels like. It feels like stupid mumble jumble bullshit to me. And now, again, I'm not saying every horror movie nowadays is like that. Don't get me wrong. Not every horror movie is like that. I am intrigued and interested in a lot of, you know, new horror movies. Again, like I said last week, you know, The Lighthouse, that's a good elevator horror. The fucking Midsummer, that's a good elevator horror. But they're not the same level of horror as classic 80s slashers. Something about classic 80s slasher horror movies just hit on a whole different new field. And classic ghost movies hit a whole different new field. These modern ones, they kind of missed the mark on a lot of them, and this is why we get a lot of like crummy horror movies over the years. So I have to say, I agree with Alex. I 100% agree with Alex. Where are they at, and why can't they come the fuck out? So that next day after the party, of course, Alex, you know, being hungover as fuck, they're going to Facebook and they see some pictures. Mainly it's the Trevor teabagging photo, and when I mean by teabagging photo, I mean literally Trevor has his balls out over Alex's head. Granted, it's pixeled out and shit, it's pixeled out, but you can tell it's a fucking ball on his face, and he's like, haha, I teabagged you. And what makes the picture even funnier is that there's like, I don't know, 20 people around Alex while he's passed the fuck out on the sofa with Trevor's balls in his face, and they're all just leaning in with fucking Alex, like they're taking a picture with a corpse, just, hey, yeah. I'm like, that's college for you right there. That is college for you. Hey, no one gonna fucking help your ass if you pass out in a party. But once they get done with that, they have Alex make a mention that he got a comment from his Grave Encounters videos from a guy called, and get this, Death Awaits. Now again, if that name someone rings a bell, it should, because those are the same words used on the front door of the building. I thought that was really clever. But, you know, he carries on with his day, you know, after looking at the comment. And the comment was basically just like a video response, and it looked like a, air quotes around this, deleted scene from the movie where Lance is in one of the rooms in a fucking nightgown, and, you know, looking around and shit, very confused. So he goes on to carry on with his movie. So here's a little fun fact about these kids, guys. They're all film students, all of them. They're in a film school. They don't say what the school is, but they're all in the film school. So we cut to Alex filming his movie. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this about Alex's movie. He tries to do like a modern Saw movie in an aspect. And I get his vision. I like his vision. But there was this one guy in his movie. One guy. Because we only get 2 scenes from Alex's movie, by the way. But there was one guy. I don't know what the actual director, I'm not even talking about Alex as the director, I mean just the Vicious Brothers in general. I don't know what they told this kid who's playing this character to do. I don't know, they looked at him and went, hey man, I want you to act as badly as possible. Like, I'm talking about no delivery, no line, no nothing. Let me tell you, let me set the scene for you. Alright, so the whole movie, I guess, is like a knockoff of, I know what you did last summer or some bullshit. Because, you know, you got Jennifer who's playing this girl, you know, the little cheerleader in the car, and you got this guy playing the jock, and they're making out and shit, and she's like, Trevor, or whatever the fuck his name was, stop. And then she fucking slaps him, and he's just like, jeez, I know it's been exactly 1 year ago today that your father disappeared, but you need to get over it. That's exactly how he delivered the line. Like, all his lines, even though he was only in this one scene, that's exactly how this one actor delivered all his lines. Which just, like he was reading a blank script. Just, alright, read the line to me. I know it's been exactly 1 year ago today that your father disappeared. Get over it. Like, dude, you're not even trying. You're in film school? But, of course, they wrap up filming the movie, and, you know, Jennifer, she's supposed to be the screen queen, kind of like a Jamie Lee Curtis in the aspect, but Alex is, more distracted by the information of Grave Encounters, because he starts digging in, to some more information, because he gets sent an email with a number, you know, which is the iconic number, you know, that I told you about, the location, the longitude, latitude shit. And he starts perceiving, going, hey man, they got missing cases reports since 2001. Kenny's dead. Yeah, Kenny the caretaker, he's dead. He killed himself. After Grave Encounters happened, he killed himself. And of course, Lance Preston and all of them are mysteriously gone. They're missing. Nobody knows where they're at. And he's just like, this is a little suspicious. Like, this is some bullshit. But he doesn't have time to think about that, because we gotta go back to his crappy movie. So we go back to his crappy movie as he's filming it. And of course, it's Jennifer. She's in a little cheerleader outfit. She's hung up by some chains. And there's a guy, I guess he's supposed to be a knocked off crazy dentist fella. And, you know, they're just, hey, Jennifer, looks like you got some cavities, you know, doing that kind of bullshit one-liners, and they, you know, they cut, and fucking Alex, again, he's in his own little world. Like, Alex cuts, and he's disappointed. His own little world is disappointment. He's looking at this movie, and he's just like, this is not the movie I wanted to make. Like, this is what I thought I wanted to make, but this ain't the one I want to make. Like, this is cheap. This is Saw. This is torture porn. And fucking Trevor's over there like, yeah, and Saw made like $1 million fucking dollars, so go with it. And he's just like, this is just not what I want. He walks off. And he proceeds, you know, to ask more information. You know, he goes to the YouTube and he's like, hey guys, y'all got any information about what's going on? Please, you know, just email me back. Let me know. And when you know, he gets an email. And it's still, again, it's from Death Awaits. And the email is basically a picture of Lance Preston and his mother with a phone number on it. So he calls it, and it's Lance's mother. And they, you know, and they make a whole thing about going to go meet his mother so they could talk to Lance. So they show up, and his mother's really, really nice. She's really, really sweet. She's a little old elderly woman. And they're like, hey, when is he gonna come home? And she's like, oh, he'll be home soon. You know, why don't you go wait in his room? So they get to his room, and you can tell his room has not been touched in a long time. Like, he's still got old school pictures, old school trophies. It's dusty as fuck. And, excusez-moi. And while they're looking around, they get startled by a woman who's in a doorway. She's like, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? And, you know, she kind of ushers them out. And they're like, what the hell is going on? You know, we got invited here. It's okay. She said it's okay. You know, and as they're, you know, being ushered out, he's just like, where is Lance? Where's your son? And she's like, oh, he's filming that TV show. But, you know, that episode with the crazy people at the hospital. And he's like, what? And then they close the door, and you find out she's suffering from dementia. And she's going to be in full-time care in January, but she shouldn't have answered the phone or let anybody in. So the last memory she has of her son is him going to go film this show, which I find that very, very sad. Like, granted though, actually no, it's not that sad. What would be very, very sad is the fact that she would have dementia and not know where her son's at. At least in this form of dementia, she knows where he's at. Kind of. She believes that this is where he's at. So basically, Alex gets back to his dorm, and he's being chewed the fuck out by Jennifer. She's just because she had a play. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been in this situation before. Because I too was an actor in school, and I did a lot of theater, especially in college. And I remember specifically several times, but I can remember one that really broke my heart was I was dating a guy. His name was John, and I invited John to come see my play because I thought it would be a fun activity for all of us to do. Not because it's just a play, but because there was a festival going on, right outside. And the play was a fun play. It was a one-act play where everybody basically put their name on the board, and we did a scene or whatever we wanted to do. And I decided to tell a fucking scary-ass story, and it had everybody's jaws on the floor. But the thing was, this was a pretty big deal for me, at this point in my theater career, I was slowly getting up into bigger roles, it wasn't just the background characters or just, like a side character that said one or two lines. I was actually starting to get bigger roles. So it was a pretty big deal for John to show up and be there for me. And the reason why I know he wasn't there was because this particular show was set up differently. It was an on-stage production. And if anybody doesn't know what I mean by on-stage production, I mean, you as the audience were on the stage with us while we did this. So it was a very small venue. Like, we only had select seats. I think there was about maybe, 25, 30 seats. And we always, sold out and shit. But I had tickets set aside just for John. So I knew that he never fucking showed up. And you know what really, really pissed me off? He showed up eventually. After the entire thing wrapped up, the play, after the play was done, the last person got done, that's when he walked in with his friend. Of course, he was apologetic. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry we lost track of time. No, the fuck you didn't. You told me you were going to be here. You were here. You were not even that far away from me. He was literally like not even half a mile away from me. He wasn't even a fucking quarter of a mile away from me. He was literally like a block down from me. And I drove him there. I'm sorry, it just pisses me off. But the point is, I get her anger. I get her frustration. She is angry at Alex for not showing up. So she is chewing out Alex for not being at her play. And she's like, I hate that you're obsessed with this movie. Go fuck yourself. I'm done. And she storms the fuck off. And fucking Alex, at this point, everyone's just calling him crazy. They're just like, Alex, you really gotta stop obsessing so much over this damn movie. And he's like, no, I will not. So he turns to his YouTube again. And he starts asking, guys, I don't know what to do. Like, these people are missing. People are dead. What's going on? And in the middle of him asking YouTube for help, a fucking weird glitchy effect happens and it distorts his face, and then something starts printing. It's a call sheet. So he grabs the call sheet, and it's for Jerry Hartman. The guy from the first movie with the opening who is just like, this is 100% real. Yeah, that guy. It's him. And it's in LA. So Alex decides to go against everybody's wishes. Everyone argues with him. You're like, hey, you shouldn't do this. You're really going to go to LA for a fucking call sheet that you're not even sure about. He's like, yeah, somebody sent it. There's a reason. So I'm going to go. So he goes. And he meets up with Jerry at a music video shot. And fucking Jerry just throws his ass out. Just like, I'm not doing any kind of interviews. Fuck off. So Alex is, feeling a little defeated. He's in his car. And he gets a little knock on his window a few minutes later, and there's fucking Jerry going, hey man, I'll do your interview not on camera and not here. Come to my office at this time, we'll do it. So Alex is like, yes, we'll do it. So of course Alex puts a hit camera on his button because most people do. And they proceed to talk to Jerry, and you find out that the movie was real. The effects were added on to add a little dramaticness to it. But the reason why he released the movie was because a lawsuit happened, and people were suing because their children were missing. So he had to do a lot of settlements. So he released the movie to get a little bit of his money back, and you find out the Vicious Brothers, the fucking Vicious Brothers, are his interns. Which is not in actual reality, guys. Not in actual reality. But he opens the door, and he's just like, oh, you want to see the Vicious Brothers? Opens his door. Yeah, this is Colin and Stewart. They're my interns. I paid them to pretend to be the directors of this movie. And I'm just like, that's fucked up, man, but okay. But he proceeds to basically confess that the entire movie was real. All of it's true. All these people are really dead. And basically Alex is like, you're not going to get away with this, man. You ain't going to get away with this. And he's like, yeah. Who the fuck is going to believe you? You're nobody. And then we cut back to Alex in his dorm room showing his friends the fucking video. And they're like, I can't believe he said that. And Alex is just like, hey, man, I didn't tell him to say this shit. He said it all on his own. So they decide to go and meet with Death Awaits in Canada at the hospital, because Death Awaits says, hey man, I live next door to the Grave Encounters. I live next door to the hospital. I could talk to you about this movie. So at first you don't think, some of them are going to go, but fucking Jennifer's like, you know what? I'll fucking go. And I like that. I like that development right there, where Jennifer was such a skeptic. Such a, just like, get over this obsession over this fucking movie. But as soon as she got proof that Alex wasn't crazy, she's all backing him up. And I'm like, I can appreciate a character like that. Because I think I said it during the fucking Changeling podcast, where there's been so many movies I've seen where, the ghost actors right in their fucking face. And they're just like, nah, I don't believe it. No, man, this ain't real. It's fucking fake. It's just like, dude, this is right in your fucking face, man. Believe it or not, it's real. But, so they decide to go to Canada. And, of course, we get this cute little montage of them driving to Canada. And fucking Trevor's got weed, so they have to make a stop to get rid of it. And they finally get up there, though. And, of course, they go past the no trespassing signs, because no one gives a shit about that. And they're filming exterior shots of the building. And a fucking rent-a-cop pulls up, right? This fucking rent-a-cop's being an asshole, and he's just like, hey man, you're not supposed to be here, we got a bunch of asbestos, you need to get out of here, turn that fucking camera off, you know what, I'm taking it anyway. And this man lunges into the car to grab this camera, and of course they take the fuck off, and they're all freaking the fuck out, but they got a plan. They're gonna come back that night. So that night, Tessa, Jennifer, Alex, Trevor, Jarrett, all decide to break into this building. As they're going there, they're fucking, being ninjas and shit, just crawling around, hopefully not being caught by the rent-a-cop to get inside the building. And of course, they get everything set up to have not only their interview with Death Awaits, but they're doing their own investigation as well. Because they've all agreed, before they came to Canada, that this is the movie Alex wants to make. This is the movie he wants to make. So he's got $50,000 worth of school camera and equipment, and he brought it to this place he's not supposed to be at, by the way, to film this movie. So they try, of course, to talk to TC. They try to talk, and of course they use everybody's actual names. Yeah, again with the meta bullshit where, oh god, they walk up and they go, this is the very bathtub where TC, aka Merwin Monson, died. There's that kind of meta shit. And nothing, of course, fucking happens. Nothing happens. Because this is generally how this movie goes. Nothing happens till about 30, 35 minutes into this movie. Because we gotta get good build-up, It's only an hour and a half movie. Only an hour and a half. And you gotta spend at least half of it scared. So they go to where they're supposed to meet Death Awaits, and he doesn't show. So they're all kind of a little bummed out. And fucking Jennifer, she sees... like a spirit board carved into a fucking table, and she's like, oh my god, guys, let's totally play with it, because that seems smart. And a haunted abandoned hospital at 3 a.m. Let's play with a fucking Ouija board. Gotcha. So they proceed to do it, and they go, well, who are you? And it proceeds to spell out, death awaits. That is when you find out the building has been communicating with Alex. The building sent out emails. The building took some memos out of the House on Haunted Hill and said, let me top that, bitch. And fucking sent him emails and phone numbers and shit. So the fucking building told Alex to come here, so now they're fucking in this building. And they get scared, of course, because, the table, of course, flips, the fucking chair spread out. They start running. And they go hide in the room. And, of course, the fucking rent-a-cop, you hear all this commotion, sees the broken chain, busts on in there, and he's just like, yo, guys are in so much trouble, blah, blah, blah. And he proceeds to try to walk him out. And Alex is like, hold up, man, you can arrest us and shit, but I gotta get my film shit. I gotta get the cameras, okay? This is all for my school. That's $50,000 worth of camera shit. I gotta get it. And the cop's arguing with him about it. Just like, no, bro, you gotta get out of here. He's like, no, I need my fucking cameras. And eventually something happens upstairs, and the rent-a-cop has to go investigate it. And of course, they're making jokes. I think even Trevor calls him a rent-a-cop. Oh, there's the rent-a-cop go. Big man with a gun. That kind of bullshit. And, of course, once he gets up there, we don't see it because it's all off camera, but we hear gunshots and then just quietness. And fucking Alex is like, hey, y'all can leave? I gotta get my cameras. Because everybody else wants to leave, by the way. Everybody else is like, Alex, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Let's go. I don't want to be arrested in Canada. Oh, Canada. No, not the jail system, though. Not the jail system. But, so they go to investigate and get the cameras and shit. And they realize the cop's gone. There's bullets on the, bullet shells on the ground where he fired his gun. And his flashlight's on the ground. That's it. There's nothing else. The cops just poof, gone. So, out of sheer panic, they decide to split up in groups. Tessa and I think it was Jared get together. Fucking Alex and Jennifer are together. I think with Trevor? I'm not sure. I don't know where Trevor's at in this situation. But the point is, Tessa and Jared are together. Little side fact, real quick. Let me digress for a second. And something I forgot to mention real quick, but when they're doing their original investigation, when nothing happens, the only cool thing that they really show off in that particular moment is a lot of the newer equipment, how they're a little bit more prepared for this situation compared to Lance and them. So they actually brought a bag of tools with them with fucking bolt cutters and shit. They actually have air horns. They're leaving little glow sticks, trails everywhere. They got a fucking really cool heat-seeking camera thermal feature on their camera, and it's really fucking cool. Granted, though, Trevor uses it as a stupid fucking means. Yes, there is a fart joke, okay? There is a fart joke where basically Trevor farts and it's all caught on camera. I thought it was the stupidest joke in the movie, but I guess we needed a fart joke somewhere in life in a horror movie. But I digress. But the point is, they're just showing off the new equipment, how a bit more equipped they are for the situation, and they're really not all that equipped. So, they basically, after they get the cameras and shit, Jared, for some reason, gets separated from Tess. I don't know why he walked ahead of her, but he walked ahead of her and wound up in the room by himself. The one with the window way upstairs that always opened on its own and shit. But Jared's up there, and this motherfucker gets thrown out the window. Straight up, not even disappear man. No, he gets straight up just tossed out this fucking window, goes flying down, hits the ground all day. Granted, we don't see that. We do get to see the aftermath, though. So Tessa gets up there, and of course, they look over the footage and find out it is fucking Jared that got thrown out the window. So they proceed to panic, run the fuck off, and unfortunately, I think... okay, never mind. I was about to skip a section. So they go to see if they can't find their way out of this fucking building. they're stuck upstairs, so they go to the map, and of course, you know, like the first movie, the map is fucking useless. And even Alex says that. He's like, the map is fucking useless. So they keep traveling. They wind up in a section of the hospital. Now, here's something I really like about this movie, is that they add on to the hospital. They add on to show you how whatever the fuck freaking did in the occult basically changed the area of the hospital. Not just, you know, himself and the people, but the hospital itself is affected. And it's like in its own parallel dimension or some bullshit. Like, it's fucking weird. I don't know what kind of occult has it to where at 3 a.m. hits and you're in a certain building, you're fucked. You can't get out of that shit. And that's unfortunately whatever freaking did, that's what happened. He's got some kind of magic powers over this hospital where basically it's stuck in an infinite time loop of being constantly nighttime and you can't get out, and everything changes constantly. It's like a movable labyrinth, if that makes sense. Because there are certain points in the movie, which I'll get to at a later point, where, you know, they open a door, it's a fucking closet, they close it, open it, close it, open it, close it, wait a few seconds, open it, and it's another fucking hallway. Yeah, it's weird shit like that. But as they're walking, they go into the children's wing of this hospital, which I myself personally love children's wings in scary movies. I mean, nothing but good times happen in children's wings and scary movies. Anything dealing with children in horror movies, nothing but good times and giggles happen. No. So they go into there, and of course there's a little ghost girl, and, you know, combing their hair, just, hi, I'm Caitlin. What's your name? And they're fucking, like, walking closer to her, just like, hey, what are you doing in here? Are you alright? Like, bitch, y'all can't get out. Y'all know this. So y'all know whatever y'all see in here is not real, right? Like, it's real. It's gonna hurt you. But it ain't human like you and I are, man. It's dead. It's dead, man. So they proceed to get close to her, and of course, it fucking jump scares them, and with a glitchy effect, if I may add. And it's of course, the deformed, mutilated face, like in the first movie. And they take the fuck off. And of course, in the middle of this chaos, they lose fucking Tess. She goes literally around a corner while them following. As soon as they round the corner, it's a fucking brick wall. And Tess is stuck on the other side. And you can hear the air horn. That's the sad part. You can hear her bringing her air horn. So Tess is walking around. She's, you know, trying to, you know, get the fuck out. She finds a camera, and she proceeds to get her shit rocked, basically. As she's walking, all the doors just fucking start slamming on open and coming apart off the hinges and shit, causing her to fall back and drop the camera. She's screaming, and then she starts fighting an invisible force. And you just hear her, and you kind of see it too. You don't actually like see it, but you see her struggle as she's crawling to the camera like it's the ending of The Quarantine, if y'all remember that movie. But she's fucking crawling, and you just see her stop, like she's being pushed down on the ground. She's like, stop, please, just no. And you just see her grunting, just like severe pain, and then you just hear the snap of a bone, like just. You just hear that shit, and then you just see blood just come out of Tessa's eyes and mouth and ears and shit. And I don't know if it set on her, if it broke her skull, what it did to her, but it fucking broke her and killed her. And then it proceeds to drag her body down the hallway to the endless darkness and abyss. So we have lost Tessa at this point. So they try to think of a idea how to get out of here. So they go, hey man, I got that bag of tools. Why don't we pry open this fucking door? And this is where this iconic scene comes in at. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this scene, but they finally get the fucking windows open. I'm sure everybody in the Grave Encounter crews is fucking cheering, just woo, finally someone got these damn windows open. But Trevor's standing there like, hey man, we gotta get the fuck out. And this tall, slender bitch busts through the window and tries to grab Trevor. And this man has the second best man scream I ever heard. And I say second best because funny enough, another character named Trevor screams as equally, if not better, in Friday the 13th remake. And if y'all know, no, his name's not Trevor, his name is Trent. His name's Trent. What is it about men in horror movies who scream like little bitches? I don't know. But fucking Trent and Friday the 13th had the greatest girly scream ever. Just, and then fucking runs off. But fucking Trevor over here, hands down, second best girly scream I ever heard. But that bitch proceeds to scream, and they all start running from this creature, and it's like literally chasing after them through this fucking hallway and bullshit. And fucking Jennifer at one point just stands there and screams at the hallway, just, oh my god! Like, bitch, no, keep running, just keep going. And fucking Trevor comes around the corner, and they actually get to leave the hospital. Like, they go through the door. The fucking creature tries to go through the door and explodes in the ash and shit. They see Jared's body on top of the rent-a-cop's car, just mangled as fuck. Which, again, great payout, guys, by the way. Great payout. They get to the hospital. Of course, they're cleaning themselves up from the fucking dust. They're packing their bags. They're crying. They're still blaming Alex. Like, dude, you didn't get obsessed with that fucking movie, man. And they get all the way to the elevator, and this actually has to be hands down one of the best scares of the movie. Like, this actually startled me. They get into the elevator, they hit the button, everything's normal as ever. As soon as the elevator doors open, they're back in the fucking hospital. Like, oh my fucking god. The damn hospital fucked with them that hard and convinced them that they have left the area. And this is why I said in Grave Encounters 1 that I don't think it really mattered if Kenny actually had the door chained or not. Once they were in that hospital at 3 a.m., you're fucked. You're dead. It's game over. As Bill Paxton said in Aliens, game over. Game over, man. Like, that was just it. So, I have to say, it's a really good scare because you don't see it coming. Like, there's no real big build up to it. Like, there's a hint to it that something's up, because after they're in the elevator and the doors are closing, you see the fucking maid in the hallway just kind of standing there. It's being creepy and shit, but you don't think much of it because, again, they're 3 teenagers cursing and yelling at each other, covered in dirt, talking about the death of their friends. If I was a maid, I would be a bit concerned and suspicious too. But they end up, just accepting the fact that they're still stuck in this fucking hospital, so they proceed to grab their bags and walk down this damn long-ass tunnel. And as they're walking through this long-ass tunnel, a fucking pipe begins to burst, and then you get like this dark smoking, and then the actual real smoke, and we're using the thermal heating camera feature. Or whatever the fuck that thing's called. But plot twist, everybody. Lance Preston is still alive. For some fucked up reason, Lance Preston has been in this hospital for almost 10 fucking years, and he's still alive. And this comes out of a great shot, because when we last saw Preston, he was lobotomized at the ending of the last movie, going, I can go home now. Apparently the hospital lied to his ass. The hospital lied to him and was just like, no, bitch. You staying. You a permanent resident. But my thing is, why Lance? Why did Lance get stuck in this hospital for 10 years? Why not Sash or TC or even Houston? Like, why did they get killed and just become ghosts, and he's forced to live in this fucking hospital? Like, he's got to live off rats. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but when they're doing their original reconnaissance around the area, I know that's a fucked up fake word, but let me just roll with it. As they're investigating, they make a mention about half-eating rats around the tunnel. And that's all we get, that Lance is alive. And it's not even mentioned towards Lance. It's, oh my god, that's a half-eaten rat. Who the fuck does that? But Lance, proceeds to show up and kind of lead them out of the fuckery, out of the smoke area. And they go through this vent, and again, poor Trevor. Just like TC in the last movie, Trevor gets the shit end of the stick. He basically keeps getting his shit rocked. He gets his pants leg caught up something in the vent, so he goes to free himself, and the fucking little ghost girl from earlier comes crawling through the vents and then like cocks her head sideways like she's seen the trailer for Smiles and proceeds to lunge at him, and poor Trevor eventually gets out of that damn situation. He comes crawling out of that vent as quickly as he can, falls down to the ground. He's just like, I'm okay, guys. I'm okay. We're good. We're fine. We're good. Get the fuck off me. And then that's when they proceed to find out Lance Preston is still very much alive. And Lance has no idea how long he's been in there. Lance thinks he's only been in there for 9 months or so. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. He's been in there for almost 10 fucking years. Sorry guys, I had to charge my phone. But they proceed to tell him that your thing that you were filming is a movie. Shows him the actual trailer of the movie, by the way, which I thought that was a little fun meta joke. That they actually show him the real trailer of the movie. And he proceeds to kind of make a mention of understanding the hospital in a way. Not about the time itself, but about how it moves. And they eventually find, hang on, where is it? A door. It's a makeshift door. They don't actually find it themselves, but they, Lance leads them down this path. I forgot to make a mention because it was one of those gloss over moments. But the cop, they actually find the cop earlier in the movie before they book it the fuck out of the hospital originally. He gets the most fucked up death out of everybody. Like, you think Jared's bad being tossed out of a window, landing on a police car? No. This poor rent-a-cop is hooked up to the electroshock machine. And they fry his ass. The ghosts fry him. Like, they fry him to the point that he's foaming out the mouth. They're trying, and Alex and them are trying to help him out. And then it turns back on, fries him again, and basically he convulses and busts into flames. I'm not even joking. He just gets set on fire. Crazy shit. But I digress. I meant to mention that earlier, but I completely skipped over that to think about the Trevor scream, basically. I'm sorry. If y'all haven't seen this movie, please watch it just for Trevor scream. That shit's just funny as hell. But Lance, shows them this door, and he's like, this is the door out. They tell me this is the door out, and it's literally just a freestanding door, like in the middle of a room. Like, it's just got chains. It's a red, big door. It goes nowhere. But Lance is convinced it goes somewhere. And Lance then proceeds to pull out a map because he goes, we can't get these doors open unless I have tools, which I don't have tools. And that's when Trevor's like, hey, we got tools, but we left it in a hallway when we were running. And he's just like, where? Which room? And so he proceeds to pull out a map. And this ain't just like a little map. No. He proceeds to fold it or unfold it again, unfold it one more time, and unfold little side parts to it. This is how big the fucking map is. And he even says this in the movie. He's just like, it's bigger than the whole city. This place, this time, it doesn't exist in our reality. It's not all right. And you're like, Lance, first of all, buddy, you need sunlight. And second of all, you need to get the fuck out of here. Okay, like, you gotta get the fuck out of here. This place is fucking with you. Like, we thought Matt was fucked up. Lance is more fucked up. Like, Lance has literally lost his fucking cool. He is now tired. He just wants out of this place. He's fed the fuck up. So, they proceed to go and find, his bag, and Lance leads him down into a room, and he's drinking out of the toilet. And of course, Trevor's gotta make a fucking comment about that. Like, dude, you're drinking out of toilet water, right? Like, what the fuck else is he supposed to be drinking out of? Nothing works here, son. But then this is, again, shows you how weird this fucking hospital is. Lance grabs a pole and proceeds to bust open a wall, right? And as he's busting open this wall, we get this bit of a tension build up where you hear some like fuck shit coming out through the hallway. So Trevor's like, I'll go in first, fuck this shit. And he goes head first. But here's the thing. We're on a wall, right? And Trevor goes head first. Trevor comes through the ceiling of the hallway, and he's looking up at Lance and them, looking at him through the wall. That's how weird this fucking hospital is. You literally break a fucking wall to your left, and you can pop up through a ceiling on another floor. If that's not fucking crazy, I don't know what else is. Like, I've seen so many horror movies, especially with movable walls, interchangeable, like Rose Red. It's one of my favorite movies about, you know, house always changing and shit. And I always like that because it could be something really, really cool. Like again, like this whole situation when you're busting through a fucking wall and boop, you're in the ceiling. Or it could be something really lame where it's just like a secret fucking door just like closes and shit. But I like that in this movie, they don't do secret doors and shit. It's actual like a real, like, add a dimension area in some aspects. That makes any fucking sense. But, they find the bolt cutters and Lance goes, alright guys, we need a rest. We need a rest before we go. So they decide they're gonna crash out. Now I will say, they don't crash out as much as Lance and them did in the first movie, but they still crash out. So we have a little time lapse of them sleeping, and then we get this situation where the camera proceeds to float up from the bag by itself and starts filming everybody. You know, just nonchalantly filming everybody. And then it drops down back in the bag, waking Trevor up. And Trevor, for some fucked up reason, decides that right now, this is the moment. This is the moment that he needs to put his last will and testament. He needs to put it on camera. And I can get it, man. You're 21 years old. You're in a life and death situation. You don't know what else to do. But I don't think going to another room in a haunted hospital that's been fucking with you this entire time, I don't think going to another room and making a will and testament is going to help you. If you want to make a will and testament, do it in front of everybody. I mean, that'll be me. I mean, granted, though, no one likes my last will and testament because everybody, of course, wants my PS5 and plot twist everybody. No one's getting this PS5. If I'm in a seriously, my last will and testament, everybody. If I'm in a hospital, an abandoned haunted hospital, right? And I can't get out, and I'm stuck in this dimension forever. This is how we're going to divvy up everything. The PlayStation will be buried in my shallow grave as a remembrance of who I am. Alright? That's what's gonna happen to PS5, guys. I'm sorry, it's getting buried in my place instead. Alright? My television goes to my boyfriend, my computer setup goes to my best friend, all my knickknacks and shit goes to my sister. My books and all that and movies can be divvied up among friends. Everything else, fight for it. I'm dead. Who cares? But yeah, so sorry guys, no one's getting my PS5 if I die soon. 20 people I know, damn it. But yeah, once he gets in there and does his last will and testament, fucking Lance pops up and proceeds to beat the shit out of him with a pole and then strangle him to death and basically takes everything. And he starts getting into an argument with the camera. And I mean with the camera, like the camera starts floating and he starts arguing with the camera going, get that shit out of my face, man. You know, let's just take care of this shit. And Lance goes to open the door and of course he opens, you know, takes the chains off the door, fucking opens it. He's fucking arms up. He's walking out like he just ran a fucking marathon, like he's first place in this shit. And nothing happens. Nothing fucking happens. And he is pissed as fuck. He's just like, you lied to me. You lied to me. Why did you lie to me? And then he proceeds to get angry and storms off. And we cut back to Alex and them finding Trevor's body. And he's just like, I should have listened to Trevor. Because Trevor told him throughout this movie, I don't trust Lance, man. He's been in here for too long. I don't trust him. Well, now because of that, Trevor's dead. He blames himself. So they go, okay, so we got to get to this door before he does. So they got the map, so they proceed to take a look around and see, you know, what's the best way to get back to this goddamn door. And unfortunately, it's through Freakin's area. That's always fun. But before we go through Freakin's area, we cut back to Lance, who's in the room with a bunch of writings on the wall. Now, in the first movie, I think I glossed over this. In the first movie, there's a room that has a bunch of writing. I'm talking about like random scribbles, fucking like diary entries or whatever, just all over, like head to toe, covered with words about all this bullshit, about whatever the fuck this man was going through. And as Lance is in this room, more writing starts appearing, and it tells him, collect the tapes, finish the film. And he goes, okay, we'll finish it. So he proceeds to try to get his persona Lance Preston back. Because remember, his actual name is Sean Rogers, but not to cause confusion, I'm just calling him Lance. But Lance proceeds to walk down the hallway, and he's being recorded, by the way. At this point, we now have floating cameras. This is how we're keeping the found footage alive, everybody. We have the ghosts are now in control of these cameras. Which could explain so much in every found footage horror movie I've ever watched. Ghosts are controlling all the cameras, guys. We have solved the problem of how everything is able to be filmed. But as he's walking down this hallway, he's just like, I might be a little rusty. Just a little rusty. I'm Lance Preston. I'm Lance. And he kind of collects himself, and he goes back to normal for like half a millisecond. And he goes, hi, I'm Lance Preston from Grave Encounters. As you can see, the rest of the crew is dead, and I want to get out of here. And then he starts repeating what everybody said back in the first movie. You know, why you lock the door, Lance? This could be a demon. We need to get out of here. And then Lance looks at the camera and goes, I'm done playing this character. I'm fucking done. He literally rips his fucking shirt off and throws his shirt down on the ground and proceeds to continue on. And we cut back to Alex and them going through Freakin's section. And unfortunately, Freakin shows up. They end up knocking the same fucking skull over, by the way, from the first movie while they're hiding in the closet. And you see, while they're hiding in this closet, Freakin doing a lobotomy, and they're doing doing a birthing, and then proceeds to sacrifice this newborn baby in the name of whatever god he fucking believes in. There's pentagrams on the ceiling and floor, so it could be Satan. I don't know. But because they knocked over this damn skull, the fucking nurse sees them, opens the door. Of course, we get that jump scare with the deformed face yet again, and they take the fuck off, and we get into a closet. Now, this was actually really clever work of the camera. So, they're in the closet, the original closet that we open, close, and then, boop, there was the room. They're in the closet, and they hear the bullshit outside banging on the door and shit. And fucking Alex has got the camera, and they got the map kind of in perfect view of the camera. So every time she lifts it up and looks at Alex and lifts it back up, it literally kind of draws your eye towards the map. So while you're looking at the map, while they're like arguing about, I don't know where to go, I don't know how to read this map, they wind up in the room. Like, as soon as she pulls the map down, they're in the fucking room. And I thought that was super clever. Like, 100% thought that was one of the most cleverest camera tricks I've seen in this movie. But they get in there and they realize, the door's open. Lance clearly just fucking left. What are we gonna do? No. Lance is still in the room. Lance shows up and tells them how it is. Lance is just like, listen, guys. I've been here for almost 10 fucking years, okay? And the hospital chose me to finish this film. Because the hospital, I'm assuming the whole situation is the hospital wants people to come to the hospital so it can have more victims. So the whole premise of the movie is to get people to come to the hospital just like it did Alex. And one of my things I didn't think about when Lance was like, the hospital chose me, technically, no. Lance found the hospital himself in the first movie. Alex, on the other hand, I think the hospital reached out to him because Death Awaits was the hospital talking to him. So it sent him the emails first. It sent him the clip first. It responded to him. So I feel like it wanted Alex to finish the movie. It never wanted Lance to finish it. But Lance is convinced the hospital wants him to finish the movie and that they're going to be stuck there. Jennifer and Alex are going to be stuck there for the rest of their lives. But, Alex doesn't want to see it that way. So they proceed to actually start fighting. And yet again, we get the funny... I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry. Anytime a ghost holds a camera, I just find it funny. I just find it fucking funny. Like, I can't even deny that. Like, I even laughed in the Hell House movie, in the second one, when the ghost was holding the camera. I just die laughing, just thinking about just a ghost just, hey man, scoot over. Just focus, man. Just focus. After, like, doing a little circle around the fight. But they proceed to repeatedly, record Lance and fucking Alex fighting. And eventually this portal opens up from the back of the room. And the wind starts pulling in, and fucking Lance and Alex and Jennifer all start sliding back. Fucking Jennifer hits a pillar, and she's holding on. Fucking Alex is kind of holding on, and poor Lance, he's barely holding on. And he's screaming, Lance is screaming, you lied to me, don't do this, why would you do this, go fuck yourself. Just yelling at the hospital, not even at Alex or Jennifer, just yelling at the hospital. And it sucks his ass in, and then the camera drops and everything just goes quiet. No wind, no papers, everyone's down on the ground. And Alex, he's looking around, he's thinking about everything Lance just said. And everything Lance just said was the truth, only one person is allowed to leave this hospital. And only one person is allowed to make this movie. And of course, it's Alex. So Alex looks at Jennifer and goes, Jennifer, this is your big break. Kind of like that moment from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Hey, this is your big break on TV, Jennifer. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Which I'm really disappointed he didn't say that. He did not say that, but that would have been twice as funny if he did. But Alex proceeds to tell Jennifer she ain't making it out. She's the Scream Queen after all. And proceeds to beat her with the fucking camera. And I'm talking about camera. I don't know what it is about horror movies when they want to kill somebody with a fucking camera lens. But they proceed to, hit them forward with it. And it goes. And it just goes. And you hear, like, the sound of her just screaming, begging Alex to stop. Fucking blood everywhere. Fucking crack at the camera. And eventually, quiet. She's dead. Game over. So Alex grabs all, the equipment, just tosses all in his bag, puts it over his shoulder, proceeds to walk out the door. Like, he closes the door, opens it, and as soon as he opens it, there's a fucking tunnel leading to light. Actual light, everybody. And he walks out, and he's in the middle of the fucking desert. In the middle of the fucking desert. And he turns around, he sees the door, and it's closed now, and it crumbles into ash. And then we cut away to, I think the next, day or so. And it's a police cruiser cam. And they get a call about somebody walking the streets. Just kind of in the daze, just walking. And it's Alex with his fucking camera and shit. The cops come out and they're just like, hey, sir, are you all right? And he's just like, I just gotta finish my film. So they go to, detain him because he looks like a fucking drunk. And he's just screaming, get off me. I gotta get these filmed. I gotta get this film. Just now get my film. He's bitching about his film. And then we cut. Now we're back with Jerry with Alex. And Jerry's sitting there like, yeah, Alex, I was surprised when he came to me about, making the sequel to Grave Encounters and stuff, but it's got everything. It's got girls dying, portals opening up, strange things happening. Alex is quite a director and a filmmaker, and I have to say, Alex is, good. And then he proceeds to do the opposite of what he did in the first movie, which is, the first movie it opens up with him going, hey guys, everything here is 100% real. And this movie, he ends it with, guys, listen. It's fake. None of it's fake. I should have told y'all this in the first movie, but it's fake. None of it's real. It's all doctor manipulated. It's not real. And Alex even concurs. Alex is just like, listen, guys, it ain't real. Whatever is that Collingwood, don't go looking for it. It's gone. Just don't worry about it, And that's basically how it wraps up with just him going, just don't go looking for it. And then we cut the black. And like I said before I started this, for a microsecond, like a second actually, just for a second, you get the longitude and latitude of where Riverside Hospital's at. And that's the end of the movie. So yeah, no, like I said, you can't watch the second movie without somewhat watching the first movie, because there'll be a lot of things you don't get. Like, you're not gonna get the meta, TC died, but it was actually Merwin, or Lance and Sean Preston. Like, none of that's gonna make sense to you. So, if you do want to watch the Grave Encounters movies, but you don't want to sit through the meta bullshit, watch the first one. The first one's really, really good, really, really fun. It's got its ups and downs, it's got its stupid effects, yes, but it's a fun found footage horror movie. And that's all you can ask from found footage horror movies. It's just for it to be fun and good and scary. And there are some good jump scares. If you're not prepared for it, you're not paying attention, you do get some good jump scares. And I like that. They're not heavy on it like certain fucking horror movies I see nowadays, where it's just like jump scare. And jump scare. And oh, look at that, one more jump scare. Oh, wait, no. We got one more jump scare in for you. It's like, bro, enough with the fucking jump scares. Please, stop. But not this movie. And the same thing with Grave Encounters 2. It's just the only weakness I have of it, what makes it more of a 7.8 for me in my movie scale review, is because you kind of have to watch the first movie to understand the second movie. Unfortunately, it's not a decent standalone movie. It's a good one, don't get me wrong, it's a good movie. It's just not a good standalone movie, because you need all the information you can get so you can understand what the fuck this hospital is, and who Lance Preston is, and who fucking Jerry is. You're missing half the knowledge of these characters if you didn't watch this first movie. But it's a good little ghost found footage film. Y'all know me, I'm a sucker for a ghost movie, but I do love me the good found footage horror movies, because 3 a.m. searches, man. 3 a.m. searches. I think I've said this story a couple of times, but I found this set of movies back in 2013, actually. I remember it was literally 3 a.m. I was on YouTube, and I was just scrolling. I was going down the rabbit hole of horror movie, found footage horror movies. And of course, a lot of them were cheap amateur shit. The shit that you would record in 2009 with your friend trying to act like it's something scary. It was a bunch of that. And, as I kept going and going and going, I found Grave Encounters. And from the poster, or the picture I got from the thumbnail, it looked like a decent movie. So I was like, you know what? When am I going to lose sleep? Clicked on it, and I watched it. And I enjoyed every aspect of it. And then I watched the second one directly after that. But here's the reason why I remember when I watched this and how I watched it. Because that same morning I watched Grave Encounters 1 and 2 and I went to sleep, I woke up to a fucking bounty hunter in my goddamn bedroom. I'm not even joking. And I mean a bounty hunter, like Dog the Bounty Hunter. It wasn't actually Dog, but it was a bounty hunter. They were looking for my brother, and he was in the house. But it was like I just went to sleep, I think, like an hour before, and I didn't even have my glasses on all the way, because I fell asleep with half of them off, and I see just this, tall motherfucker, about 6'2", 6'3", big, burly man. I'm talking about fucking buff as shit. He could have been an awesome stripper if he went in that aspect, but he's fucking standing in my doorway, just don't move. I'm just I don't even know who the fuck you are, man. And you're telling me not to move, so I'm not gonna move. He didn't have his gun on me or anything, but he told me not to move. There was about 4 or 5 other, I'm not sure they were officers or bounty hunters as well, but they're in my brother's bedroom, which was right next to mine, and I could see them get my brother out, put some pants on, because he was naked, and proceed to walk him out. But that's why I remember exactly how I watched this movie. Not only was it a 3 a.m. YouTube search, but literally that next hour after I got done watching this set of movies, I got woken up to a bounty hunter at my fucking doorway. Crazy stories, but that's my life sometimes. But I do recommend this movie, guys. Both these movies are really, really good. Highly suggest them. You can watch them now, as of this moment, if you have Shudder. They're not exclusive or anything to Shudder, but there are both of them are on Shudder. Or if you're a fucking cheapskate or a fucking asshole, like me, I got Shudder, so I watch it on Shudder. But if you don't have Shudder and you want to watch this movie, it is on YouTube for free in full HD, both movies. You can watch them on YouTube. But I highly recommend going to Shudder if you have it, because Shudder is great for not only little indie horror movies, but a lot of your favorite classic horror movies as well. And I can't talk highly enough about Shudder. No, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just really like Shudder. I'm not gonna lie, I just really like Shudder. But I think I ran on long enough. I've gone a little bit over my schedule, but I wanted to get at least both these movies out, because you can't talk about one without the other one. Because if not, the second one is not going to make any sense. And I feel like if I took a day to talk about one and it took next week to talk about the other one, if people came in, they would literally have to rewatch an entire another video just to watch this one. So I thought it'd just be better to talk about them back to back. But next week, I'm probably actually going to do The Haunting of Hill House next week, and not Alice in Borderlands. My roommate might join me on that one, because he is a big fan of that show as well. There's a lot about that show I would love to talk about and just dive into. And if y'all haven't seen it, I recommend going to go see it before you see the podcast, because that is a fiery ass show. It's one of my favorites. Now, don't get me wrong, Bly Manor's alright. I like Bly Manor for the romantic gothic story it tells, but fucking Haunting of Hill House, hands down, one of my favorite horror TV shows ever. I mean, ever. But that's a story for another day, so I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this video on Anchor, Spotify, here live on Twitch, wherever, please give me a follow, please give me a like. You never know what fuck shit's gonna happen. You never know what fuck shit I might talk about. Like I said, next week, I hopefully can get at least a season in of fucking Haunting of Hill House. I don't know how many episodes. I think it's 8 or 10. I can't remember if it's 8 or 10. I want to say 10. But I'll try my best to get through that. Hopefully my buddy Andrew could join me up on that. And if y'all stick around for tomorrow on Twitch, I hopefully will have my gaming situation going on. So I'll be gaming. I want to say Andrew wants to do Minecraft. He wants me to hop on his server and do some stuff with him. I don't know. We'll have to see what tomorrow plays out. But I do plan on streaming here live on Twitch tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I just don't know if it'll be Minecraft or Disney. And then next week, I've been debating whether or not to do a walkthrough for the Infected run, so y'all can get the Peanut Butter Butter Pop trophy and some other trophy on the quarry, or if I want to do the DLC for Resident Evil 8, because I yet to do that. I have it, I've yet to play it. But that is a story for another day, so until then, my friends, y'all take care.